Module 8. Coalitions and Gender. Property of a coalition. The property of a coalition can be described as the characteristics and attributes that define the group and its dynamics. Understanding the property of a coalition is essential for effectively leveraging its strengths and managing its weaknesses. One fundamental property of a coalition is its size. The size of a coalition can significantly impact its bargaining power and effectiveness. Smaller coalitions may be more nimble and able to make decisions quickly but may have less bargaining power. Larger coalitions, on the other hand, may have greater bargaining power but may be more challenging to manage and coordinate. Another essential property of a coalition is the diversity of its members. Diversity can refer to various characteristics, including organizational affiliations, interests, expertise, and cultural backgrounds. A diverse coalition can bring various perspectives and skills to the table, enhancing its ability to solve problems and achieve its goals. However, managing diversity can also be challenging, as different members may have competing interests or goals. Trust is another critical property of a coalition. Trust is the belief that other coalition members will act in good faith and honor their commitments. Trust is essential for effective collaboration and decision-making within a coalition. Trust is necessary for members to be more willing to share information or resources or may be more likely to act in their interests rather than the group. The property of a coalition is shaped by a range of factors, including its size, diversity, and level of trust. Understanding these factors is essential for effectively leveraging the strengths of a coalition and managing its weaknesses. By building a well-managed and strategically diverse coalition, negotiators can enhance their bargaining power and achieve better outcomes. Multi-party negotiations. Negotiations are a standard tool used in many fields, including business, politics, and diplomacy, to resolve conflicts and reach agreements. While two-party negotiations involve two parties negotiating directly with each other, multi-party negotiations involve three or more parties working together to find a mutually acceptable solution. Multi-party negotiations differ from two-party deliberations in several important ways. Firstly, in multi-party negotiations, there are more voices and interests to consider, making the process more complex and challenging. Negotiators must balance their interests with those of other parties and consider the potential impact of any agreement on other stakeholders who may not be present at the negotiation table. This can make it more challenging to reach a consensus and may require more time and effort. Secondly, multi-party negotiations often involve more issues and concerns than two-party deliberations. Each party may have different priorities, goals, and preferences. Negotiators must therefore work to find common ground on multiple issues and prioritize them according to their importance to each party. Thirdly, multi-party negotiations require more sophisticated negotiation techniques and strategies to manage the complexity of the process. Negotiators may need to use tools such as caucuses, coalition building, and issue linking to facilitate communication and collaboration between parties and to help reach a satisfactory outcome. Multi-party negotiations are more challenging and complex than two-party deliberations due to the increased number of voices and interests, the more significant number of issues and concerns to address, and the need for more sophisticated negotiation techniques and strategies. Nevertheless, when conducted effectively, multi-party negotiations can lead to more comprehensive and inclusive agreements better suited to all parties involved. Participants in a negotiation. Recognizing participants in a negotiation is an essential aspect of the negotiation process. It involves understanding each participant's roles, interests, and motivations and using this knowledge to build trust, establish rapport, and create a collaborative negotiating environment. In this essay, we will discuss why it is vital to recognize participants in negotiation and some strategies for doing so effectively. One reason it is vital to recognize participants in a negotiation is that it allows negotiators to tailor their communication strategies to the needs and interests of each party. For example, recognizing a participant's expertise in a specific area can help a negotiator understand their perspective better and engage them more meaningfully. Recognizing a participant's interests and motivations can also help a negotiator to identify potential areas of agreement and build a shared understanding of the issues at hand. Another reason why it is vital to recognize participants in a negotiation is because it helps to establish trust and build rapport. When negotiators take the time to understand and acknowledge the perspectives of each party, it can create a sense of respect and goodwill that can be important for building long-term relationships. This can be particularly important in negotiations where parties may need to work together in the future or where ongoing concerns need to be addressed. Some strategies for recognizing participants in a negotiation include conducting research before the negotiation to understand each party's interests and motivations better, actively listening to each participant during the negotiation to understand their perspective, and acknowledging the contributions of each party throughout the negotiation process. Recognizing the interests and contributions of each participant can create a more collaborative negotiating environment and increase the likelihood of reaching a successful outcome. Recognizing participants in a negotiation is an essential aspect of the negotiation process. By understanding each party's roles, interests, and motivations and using this knowledge to build trust and establish rapport, negotiators can create a more collaborative negotiating environment and increase the likelihood of reaching a successful outcome. Women in negotiations. Negotiation is a critical skill in today's fast-paced business world, and it is crucial to recognize women's vital role in this process. Despite the many strides made toward gender equality in recent years, women still face challenges in the negotiation process, including gender bias, stereotypes, and cultural expectations. This essay will discuss women's unique negotiation challenges and strategies for overcoming them. One of the challenges that women face in negotiations is gender bias. Research has shown that both men and women tend to view women as less competent and less confident than men, which can lead to lower outcomes and fewer opportunities for advancement. This bias can manifest in many ways, including interrupting women more frequently than men, failing to acknowledge women's contributions, and treating women with less respect than men. Another challenge that women face in negotiations is stereotypes about gender roles. These stereotypes can limit women's ability to be seen as effective negotiators and may lead to women being too emotional or aggressive in negotiations. In addition, cultural expectations around gender roles can make it more difficult for women to negotiate effectively, as they may be seen as going against societal norms. To overcome these challenges, women in negotiations can use various strategies. For example, women can prepare thoroughly for negotiations by researching the other party, clearly understanding their objectives and constraints, and practicing their negotiation skills. Women can also build relationships and establish rapport with the other party, which can help build trust and reduce the impact of bias and stereotypes. Additionally, women can work to establish their credibility and authority by highlighting their accomplishments and expertise and using assertive communication techniques. Women play a vital role in negotiations, and it is essential to recognize and address the unique challenges they face in this process. By understanding and working to overcome these challenges, women can be effective negotiators and contribute to their organizations' and careers' success. Characteristics of face-to-face negotiations. Face-to-face negotiations offer a more personal and interactive experience, allowing negotiators to build rapport and establish trust. This type of negotiation involves nonverbal cues, such as body language and facial expressions, which can convey information and emotions that may not be communicated through words alone. In face-to-face negotiations, negotiators can also more easily read the other party's reactions, leading to quicker adjustments in strategy and tactics. However, face-to-face negotiations, such as travel expenses and scheduling difficulties, may have drawbacks. They may be subject to distractions or interruptions derailing the negotiation process. Fewer counter-offers are made. Negotiators with low familiarity. A negotiator unfamiliar with the other culture should choose respectful strategies and avoid potential cultural faux pas. They should learn about the other party's cultural norms, values, and communication styles. They should also be open to adapting their negotiation style to fit the cultural context better. Strategies such as active listening, asking open-ended questions, and respecting hierarchy and authority can help build trust and rapport with the other party. Using a mediator or a third-party facilitator with experience with cross-cultural negotiations can also help bridge cultural gaps and promote mutual understanding. It is vital to approach cross-cultural negotiations with a willingness to learn and adapt to the other party's cultural context. How can negotiators protect themselves? Negotiating with an opponent who has more power can be challenging, but there are several strategies that negotiators can use to protect themselves and achieve a favorable outcome. Firstly, negotiators can increase their power or leverage by identifying and utilizing any power sources, such as expertise or a strong BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. This can help to level the playing field and reduce the power imbalance. Secondly, negotiators can seek to build alliances or coalitions with other parties who may have more power, such as stakeholders or third-party mediators. This can provide additional support and leverage during the negotiation. Thirdly, negotiators can use framing, anchoring, and strategic concessions to influence the other party's perceptions and behavior. By framing the negotiation to highlight their strengths or the other party's weaknesses, negotiators can tilt the balance of power in their favor. Finally, negotiators can create value by identifying and pursuing opportunities for mutual gains. By expanding the pie and creating more value to be shared, negotiators can overcome power imbalances and achieve a more favorable outcome for both parties. Locus of control. External locus of control is the belief that outside forces, such as luck or fate, are primarily responsible for what happens to a person. People with an external locus of control tend to feel that external factors control their lives, and they often attribute success or failure to luck or other factors beyond their control. On the other hand, internal locus of control is the belief that individuals are primarily responsible for what happens to them. People with an internal locus of control tend to feel they have control over their lives and that their actions and decisions can influence their outcomes.